My name is Lisa, and at 29 years old, I work in the creative department of a gaming company based in Boston. To an outsider, my life might appear seamless and fulfilling. However, the truth is more complex due to my challenging family dynamics. About a year ago, my father's employer went bankrupt suddenly, forcing me to move back to my hometown and live with my parents and my sister, Olivia. Since then, our household has relied heavily on my income. One evening, as we were discussing dinner plans, my mother mentioned that Olivia wanted pork steaks the following night. I sighed internally before responding. Oh, and we're running low on our food budget. We can't afford pork loin. Could you contribute a bit more to the food fund? I was already stretched thin, having contributed $5,000 a month, which should have been more than enough. Yet, Olivia argued that prices had risen and that $5,000 just didn't suffice for our family of four anymore. My frustration boiled over and I snapped. Just $5,000? If you think it's not enough, maybe you should start working and earn some money for food. My mother, ever sympathetic to Olivia, excused her unemployment by saying it was hard to find a job. I knew the harsh reality. Olivia was not just job hunting but also wasting her days, and my mother was giving her the money I provided as pocket money. In a heated moment, I suggested, if it's so hard to live here, why don't we sell the house and move to Grandma's hometown? She runs a successful Italian restaurant in Revere. We could work there, and life would probably be easier. My mother instantly rejected the idea, wary of the hard work involved, especially in pizza making, which Grandma was very strict about. My father chimed in, questioning why we were so quick to rely on Grandma's help, calling it spoiled behavior. It was ironic and maddening to me, given that I was the one financially supporting us while my sister resisted working. I argued that Olivia, at 27, could at least look for a part-time job, as many do while job hunting. But my mother dismissed the idea, claiming Olivia was too busy helping around the house. My father supported this by listing Olivia's minor contributions, which seemed trivial compared to my daily efforts of preparing breakfast, making lunch, managing our finances, and handling taxes. Despite all this, my parents have always shown a preference for Olivia since our childhood. It was clear that my contributions were overlooked while Olivia continued to be the favored child. This disparity in treatment, despite my hard work and her lack of initiative, left me feeling underappreciated and strained within my own family. Olivia, with her refined features and charm, has always been the favored child in our family, which perhaps explains why our parents have treated her with special consideration. You might think that such circumstances would drive me to leave, but complex personal reasons make it difficult for me to move out, leaving me to cope with daily stress. Days went by without much change, and initially, I didn't notice Olivia's absence from the house. I assumed she was just out and about as usual, but as days turned into more without any sign of her, I began to grow suspicious. Then, one day, as I returned home and was about to head to my room, I overheard a shocking conversation between my parents in the living room. I can't wait for the souvenirs from San Diego. Olivia is really lucky. Right now, she must be relaxing on the beautiful beaches of San Diego and enjoying meals at delicious restaurants, my mother gushed. I want to go to San Diego too. Maybe we should plan a trip together next time. Confused and astounded, I couldn't help but interrupt. Wait, what are you both talking about? Olivia is in San Diego right now. Their puzzled expressions matched their response. Yes, that's right. Struggling to keep up with this unforeseen revelation, I questioned, but how can she afford the trip? She doesn't even work. Actually, she won it in a sweepstakes. Olivia has always been lucky with these things, my father explained. Though surprised, I decided to accept that explanation for the moment. However, the next day, while I was at work, I received an unexpected call from a credit card company I rarely use. They informed me of high charges over the past 4 days amounting to $90,000. I was stunned. I had no memory of making such transactions. Immediately, I suspected Olivia was behind this. Despite winning the hotel stay and flight tickets, she must have needed funds for her other expenses in San Diego. Determined to uncover the truth, I contacted her. Olivia, what are you doing? Explain yourself. Oh, I'm surprised you called, sis. I thought you were expecting souvenirs, she joked. Cut the jokes. You've been using my credit card without my permission, haven't you? She replied nonchalantly. Oh, did you notice? It was just an oversight. Furious, I retorted. What are you thinking? Using someone else's credit card fraudulently is a crime. It might be a problem if it were someone else's, but it's different among family members, Lisa. You really should study more. How could you spend $90,000 in just 4 days on this free trip? Excluding airfare and accommodation, I had to pay for tourist activities, luxury dining, branded shopping, and transportation. Before I knew it, the expenses had far exceeded $90,000. Why are you so angry? I used the card because it was about to expire. That's why, sis. I'll leave the payment to you, she cheerfully said before hanging up. This incident was so sudden and bewildering that I was left utterly speechless. Following that, she kept contacting me, but I was too overwhelmed to respond, trying to process the audacity of her actions and the apparent normalcy with which our parents accepted them. This deep-seated favoritism and disregard for my boundaries made it painfully clear that the disparity in how we were treated was profound and ingrained, making my daily life even more taxing. I decided not to respond at all to Olivia's provocations. Eventually, she left a message on my answering machine that, despite its frustrating content, made me laugh. It seems I've gone and done it. I'm truly foolish. That evening, when I returned home, my parents were quick to confront me. Welcome back. How can you be so indifferent? Olivia is in a tough spot because you stopped the card, they exclaimed. Well, my card was misused, so of course I stopped it, I replied coolly. As soon as I got a call from the credit card company about unrecognized transactions, I blocked the card. This action had caught Olivia off guard. She had panicked and lashed out at me. Since I consistently avoided responding, she eventually turned to our parents for help. Your sister is in trouble abroad, and you're not going to do anything, they continued. Just because we're family, it doesn't mean it's okay for her to casually use my card to rack up $90,000 in charges. That's not something to be indifferent about. How cold can you be, they criticized. She intended to buy souvenirs for us with that card. What's the problem with that? You're both unbelievable, I retorted, frustration mounting. How can you come to such a conclusion? Can't you think normally? She's not thinking of us. She's just having fun at my expense. Can you still say that after hearing this message? At that moment, I pulled out my smartphone and played the message Olivia had left. Make the card usable, you miser. Our parents' cards are already maxed out and can't be used. Being so stingy about giving me pocket money for a trip, how useless can they be? Hearing Olivia's angry voice, my parents' initial anger quickly faded, and they hurried to their room to check the status of their credit cards. A few minutes later, I heard screams of panic. When I went to see what was happening, their faces were flushed with intense anger. I can't believe Olivia used my card without permission after all the nice things I've done for her. She even took the bank book and cards, my father exclaimed, shocked by the betrayal. Oh, wasn't that supposed to be a kind act by Olivia? Buying souvenirs for us? You said she was trying to have fun for us, right? I retorted coldly. Yes, that's right, but our money is still safe, right? My parents muttered ambiguously. Seeing my parents' attitudes flip once they realized their assets were safe, I couldn't hide my disappointment. Then why don't you increase the card limit and expedite the repayment so she can use it again? Why don't you let the kind Olivia, who tried to buy souvenirs for you, have it? That's not possible, because we have no savings left. What will we do? Olivia is in trouble without being able to eat or drink. My father suddenly pleaded with me. Lisa, we will start anew. We vow to keep supporting this family together, so please help Olivia, he implored. What are you talking about? Does everyone even include me? I said mockingly, moved by my father's plea yet skeptical of their sudden change of heart. It's a bit late for apologies now, I concluded, my words heavy with irony as I processed the chaotic turn of events and the clear favoritism still at play. As my mother earnestly pleaded with me, her words tinged with regret. She promised, "I will change my ways. I swear to do my best to support everyone from now on. I will do no wrong to you or to her." Despite their seemingly genuine words, I couldn't help but laugh quietly at the absurdity of the sudden turnaround. As they went off to check their room, I pondered my next move. In my hand, I held a credit card I had found, still valid and untouched. "Why don't you give this card to Olivia and enjoy a family trip as well?" I suggested, somewhat mischievously. My parents were overjoyed by the idea and immediately got in touch with my sister. As they excitedly prepared for their trip, I reserved their flights to San Diego online, a smile playing on my lips. For days later, as my family returned from San Diego, Olivia greeted me unusually warmly. "Big sis, thank you for letting us enjoy San Diego. Oh, it's rare for you to come pick us up. Are you expecting souvenirs?" Her tone was light, almost mocking. Unfortunately, I didn't buy anything. It seemed they had enjoyed their trip thoroughly, but had quickly forgotten their recent promises of gratitude and change. Watching their carefree demeanor confirmed my resolve for the plan I had been carefully preparing. I couldn't contain my excitement. "It seems like you had a lot of fun. Was that the last big moment of your life?" I asked cryptically. "What do you mean by last?" Olivia asked, puzzled. "Actually, I've decided to sell the house. On a whim, I've already shipped our belongings to a new place and arranged for someone to pick us up," I revealed nonchalantly. As I spoke, they noticed the "for sale" sign at the entrance of our home. "What is this? Did you really sell the house? What's going on?" they exclaimed in shock. Taking a deep breath, I explained further. A real estate agent, a friend from my university days, had been interested in this land for a while. I always refused because I thought maintaining this house, which was not built by our grandmother, was more cost-effective. However, I recently changed my mind. I realized that by selling this house and starting to live alone again, I could gain both financial and mental freedom. Selling it on your own is illegal. This house belongs to Dad. There's no way you could do anything about it, my parents protested vehemently. Calmly, I responded, "Oh, you seem quite energetic about it. But what would you think if you knew that the house and land are actually registered in my name? Dad, do you remember when you came to me because you couldn't pay the taxes and I agreed to help on the condition that we change the registration to my name?" That's right," I continued. "I didn't leave this house because it was registered in my name. I was looking for a way to get you out of the house. It was difficult to find an opportunity because you were always home. However, the chance to sell finally came when I sent you to San Diego as planned. Everyone was out of the house, and I could finally sell the house and the land." "Oh," they gasped, realization dawning. "As I mentioned earlier, the luggage has already been sent to the new house, so don't worry. And the pickup should be arriving soon. Yes, Grandma is eagerly waiting for everyone. She can't wait to see you all again," I concluded, hinting at a new beginning, possibly under Grandma's watchful eye, where perhaps a different set of rules might apply. My grandmother agreed to take us all in to try and set things straight. "Send their luggage ahead," she instructed me, hinting at the impending discipline she was prepared to enforce. When I relayed Grandma's message about daily pizza making and cleaning, my parents and sister were visibly shocked. "We can't go to Grandma's," they protested. "That's right. We don't want to go." "Ah, I see. Well, you can do as you like, but without a house or jobs, how are you going to live? There's also the payment for that credit card. How are you going to pay such a large amount?" I inquired. "What are you talking about? The card is in your name," they assumed. "Be careful. It's under a different name," I corrected them, watching as my mother hastily pulled out the card I had given her and checked the name, her face draining of color. "Wait, this card is in Olivia's name?" "That's right. The credit card I gave you was found in Olivia's room. It was the first card she got when she started working, but she quit soon after, claiming the job wasn't a good fit. It seems she hadn't used it until now." "What? I've spent too much. What should I do about this?" Olivia panicked. "Since it's your name on the card, you have no choice but to pay, and make sure you earn enough to cover it. All of you, without causing trouble to Grandma," I asserted. Olivia resisted. But our parents, seeing no other way out, silently braced themselves for Grandma's strict regime. Together, they headed to her house and restaurant in Revere. There, under the tutelage of Grandma and the veteran staff, they were taught to work diligently, even as they shed tears. Olivia, under Grandma's stern orders, eventually repaid the $90,000 she had fraudulently charged to my card. Although my original plan had been to settle everything by selling the house and land, Grandma managed to recover the living expenses I had previously paid and even arranged for a portion of my parents' salaries to be transferred to me. I moved to an apartment closer to my workplace and started living alone. The new life was going smoothly, and I was enjoying peaceful evenings looking down at the city from my balcony. One evening, as I watched the sunset, my phone rang. It was Grandma. "Hello, Grandma," I answered, and she checked in to see if I was doing well. "Yes, I'm fine," I replied. "That's good. Actually, it's about Olivia and the others. They're starting to change significantly, especially Olivia, who has begun to actively help with work. It also seems that your parents are gradually reflecting," Grandma shared. She continued, "Lisa, it must have been tough. I believe I understand how you feel. Sometimes, family can be a burden, yet it is also something we should support. I hope you can forgive them someday." Listening to Grandma's words, her voice filled with hesitation and concern but also significant resolve, I felt a mix of emotions. "There's no rush. Take your time and think it over until your heart settles," Grandma said kindly. I nodded to myself. "Understood, Grandma. I'll take my time and reconsider everything," I replied, then quietly hung up the phone. As I gazed out the window at the urban landscape, the darkness of night gradually enveloped the city, and a whirlwind of emotions churned within me. While anger and sadness still lingered, a small spark of hope for the future began to emerge. Returning to my room, my eyes were drawn to a family photo. In the photo, a young Olivia and I smiled along with our parents. Looking at those happy faces, I contemplated the complex tapestry of family ties, realizing that perhaps, in time, forgiveness might find a place in my heart. I often found myself reminiscing about the joyful days of our past, wishing we could somehow return to those simpler times. Yet reality had a way of snapping me back to the present. As time marched on, I found my life gradually settling back into its old rhythm. Professionally, I had taken the lead on a new project at work, and personally, I was navigating a fulfilling day-to-day existence. One evening, after wrapping up the day's tasks, my cell phone rang with an unknown number flashing on the screen. Hesitating slightly, I answered. "Hello, this is Lisa." "It's me, Olivia," came a voice, markedly different from the confident, almost arrogant tone of the past. Now it was soft and seemed unstable. Surprised, I couldn't help but respond. "Olivia, what's wrong? Did something happen?" "Sorry for calling out of the blue. Actually, I want to meet you in person. I want to talk to you," Olivia said quietly, her voice carrying a humility and a sense of growth that I had never expected from her. "Why do you want to meet?" I asked, my voice low, bracing myself for her response. Olivia's voice, though trembling, was calm and sincere, a clear indication of her growth. "Big sis, I want to apologize from the bottom of my heart. I felt that a phone call wouldn't sufficiently convey my feelings, so I want to meet you in person to truly and earnestly apologize," she explained. Her words were sincere, and without interrupting, I listened quietly. "If you feel it's difficult to meet me, that's okay too. Your feelings are what matter most to me," Olivia continued. After a moment of silence, I finally spoke. "All right, if that's the case, let's meet next Saturday at 3 p.m. at the cafe in front of the station." "Really? That makes me so happy." "Thank you, big sis." Olivia's voice held a note of relief. After hanging up the phone, I took a deep breath, sorting through my emotions. Despite questioning whether the decision to meet was the right one, I harbored a hope that perhaps this meeting might change something. On the day of our meeting, I arrived at the designated cafe earlier than planned. As I waited, my heart raced and my chest tightened with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. As the clock's hands crept past the agreed time, the cafe door opened slowly, and Olivia appeared. She looked different. Her expression was simple yet earnest, her face bare of makeup, and her attire modest. Most notably, her eyes conveyed a resolute change. She approached my table slowly and began to apologize quietly. "Big sis, I am truly, truly sorry." At that moment, I could physically sense her change and found myself momentarily unsure how to respond. "Olivia," I began, and she continued, her words interspersed with tears. "While working at Grandma's house for the first time, I realized how much I had relied on you and taken you for granted. I finally understood how hard it has been for you, always suppressing your own desires to support us, the family." With tears streaming down her face, Olivia reflected on her past actions and offered heartfelt apologies repeatedly. She detailed how much she had relied on me in the past and the lessons she learned while staying at our grandmother's house. Her story revealed many insights about her relationships with our parents and her newfound self-awareness. I just sat quietly listening to her words. Each word seemed to dissolve the long-held anger and sadness in my heart. As her story progressed, I could feel the heavy emotions inside me gradually lighten. "Thank you, Olivia. I've fully taken your feelings to heart," I said afterward. We talked about various topics for several hours, engaging in an open dialogue about recent events in our lives, each of us sharing and reconnecting in ways we hadn't for a long time. As we navigated the conversation about the challenges we were currently facing, I realized that this meeting was becoming a crucial step in mending the fractures in our relationship. When it was time to part, Olivia handed me an envelope with a sense of gratitude. Inside, there was money she had earned by working diligently at our grandmother's house. "This is just the beginning, but I will do everything I can," she said earnestly. As I took the envelope, I could feel her sincerity and the significant personal growth she had achieved. It warmed my heart to see her taking such responsible steps forward. Months later, I found myself visiting my grandmother's house again, where I reunited with my parents. During this visit, they offered me their sincere apologies, and it was evident they had experienced personal growth similar to Olivia's. That evening, we shared a meal together as a family for the first time in a long while, and I felt the genuine warmth of family once again. While I might not have been ready to forgive everything immediately, witnessing my family's genuine efforts to improve gave me hope for the future. Before I left, my grandmother shared some profound words that resonated deeply with me. "Lisa, you have certainly become strong, but as important as that strength is, the kindness you continue to hold is the most important thing," she advised. Her words, full of wisdom and love, moved me deeply, and as she hugged me, I couldn't hold back my tears. I left feeling like this might be the start of a new chapter in my relationship with my family. The weight on my heart was gradually lifting, replaced by a budding hope that, perhaps, we could continue to heal and grow together. This thought brought a quiet sense of peace and an anticipation of what was yet to come.